Hello, in this video I'm going to do a review, do some test cuts of this Lidl Parkside plasma cutter PPS 30A1. They did a model last year which was a 40 amp model. This is a 30 amp model. Let's just see what's inside the box. It claims to be able to cut up to 9mm in steel. We shall test that up to 10mm. I've got a variety of bits of steel and copper to cut, so we should be able to have some fun. Okay, so in the box, just as I show you what it looks like in the box, we've got the actual unit itself and the accessory pack there. So we'll whip that accessory pack out, put it down there and pull that out. It is a small and lightweight unit. You need a compressor to run it, so I've borrowed one. They do currently have them on sale in Lidl at the moment for £70 for this small little compressor. I'm thinking of waiting and buying the big little compressor. So there's the actual unit itself, with a usual effort for the long lead that Lidl provide, which I think is fantastic. Right, so that's quite a chunky lead. Something you need to bear in mind when you're using this is because you need a compressor, whatever you're running off, you need to make allowances for that as well. Come on, let's undo that. Let's find a pair of snips in there. That is proving awkward. Right. So we have cable on the back. We have where the air comes in and a pressure reg. On-off switch. We'll have a look at the pressure reg in a minute. And on the front, you just have the control from 15 amps to 30 amps. A temperature switch, a power switch, that's your control, that's your earth, and that is your main cutter link. On the back, I think this is just your flow rate. So let me just see, just push to lock. If you pull it up to turn it, you do, right, and push it down to lock it. That's good, I like that. Okay. So that's that bit looked at for the moment. Let's just get that cable untangled and let's see what is in the box. Right, first things first, we have the takeoff from the compressor. A quick look at that. It should fit a standard compressor fitting. I'm just going to double check that it does. Okay, so that there is a standard compressor fitting. And there we go, that fits nicely. Put that in and off it comes. That's good. Okay. Of the earth lead, which is reasonably self-explanatory. I don't need to read any instructions on that. And I can just tip that over horribly and then plug that in, twist to lock, and presumably twist to unlock. Yeah. Okay. I shall have a read of the instructions in a sec and then come back to you, but before I do, let's quickly open up this bag and see what we have. So we have one pre-assembled torch head there, with its cutter in there. That's loose, don't know if it's meant to be, we'll find out in a minute. We have that on there, which is supposedly, I believe, to clip, possibly clamp that onto something. That's a connector like that. I'm not sure I need that. And then some consumables. Now, looking at these, you can buy these and these on Amazon for a whole variety of these cutters, and they are reasonably cheap. So that's good. Okay, that is your control wire, which will plug in there, and that is your main connector. That's a torch. That feels like it's in the right place. A little bit of plastic stuck out there, not happy about that, but it's not a big deal. Okay, let me just familiarise myself, and that is for sticking on the end of that as a roller guide. You need to undo those two screws first. Looks a bit odd to me, but we'll give that a crack all the same in a bit. Right, let me just read the instructions and I'll come back to you. Okay, so that's the instructions read. We'll come back to a couple of things in those in a minute. Let's just put this thing together first. That's the consumables. I'm just going to put those out the way. And the roller head. So let's start with putting this in. That is a one-way sort of connector. It will grip onto this pipe when I push it in. And then in theory, at least, you can't just pull it out again, so bear that in mind. It does make it quite easy to do, so grab that and just push it hard in, and that's done. So we now connect that to our compressor. Untangle that a little bit. And in fact, go plug it in. So there is the standard compressor end, and in that goes, job jobbed. Next thing is the two wires come off the torch end. That one can only go in one way, which is with the notch at the bottom. Push it all the way in and do the screw up. And then this is the air feed, and I presume main current feed. You just push onto there and do that up. Okay, we are also plugged in. So we now have, turn that on. Okay, so there we have the torch. We're going to get some sparks flying in a sec. First things first, let me just put this down as a little bit of a shield where I'm cutting. A nice big thick heavy slab of steel, a couple of nice insulating bricks, and what we will try first is thin steel, but I'll come on to the safety instructions first. You should be using this in a well ventilated space. It will kick off a lot of fumes. It's also fundamentally an arc device, and at the business end it creates a massive arc and blows all the molten metal straight out, so it will create a lot of sparks. So you need to be a little bit careful not to be blowing sparks over flammable materials. Obviously flammable can mean a number of different things. But what you don't want to be doing is setting fire to things. You know, flammable fuels, anything particularly flammable, keep away, have some means of putting it out. Other thing is this stuff will get hot. I'd recommend wearing welding gloves, which don't come with this. Also, you want some kind of shielding, like a face mask. This doesn't come with a face mask. That's not a very good face mask. It's the one I got with the Lidl welder, so I will be using this one. Apart from that, that's really kind of it. Let me go turn the compressor on. Oh, and let's cut. So we're going to cut. That is just under 1mm thick. That should be easy. We'll just cut a little lump off that. Then we'll be working through some copper, some aluminium, and some various different thicknesses of steel, and a little bit of stainless steel. So let's turn the compressor on. Oh, and one last thing. Please like, share and subscribe. I'm trying to get up to 1,000 subscribers. Really useful if you subscribed, down in the bottom left hand corner. Right, let's turn the compressor on, which is going to be very noisy, and let's just check that we've got we want that on low. We're doing thin stuff. once you strike an arc, doesn't like cutting through stainless much. I have to look up what the maximum thickness of stainless is. Let's stick that outside, that's quite hot. Right. Yes, with a well ventilated area. Right, so next thing I'm going to try is a few bits of copper and brass. We have some 1/16 1.7mm brass. Let's go stick that, hold on. Just try to lop a bit off that. I'm just going to go and stick the compressor back on. Noisy bugger, not a very good compressor this one. It's got an air. Next up, you can see how that cuts. Incidentally, don't turn this off while it's cooling down. That has, you can see how it melts through. I think I can turn the airflow up and get that more of that blasted away. Let's try that and see if that gets a better cut. And then after that, I'm going to go and stick on. It will cut up to 2mm in copper, that's 1 3/4mm and that is 4, and we'll try both of those and see what they do. You can see what happens is that the arc, you can actually draw a reasonable arc, and once you've drawn an arc you can pull it away. And on thicker stuff you probably should. So let's get that on and let's try those 2 bits of copper and redo that bit of brass on a higher flow. got. That does cut copper up to 4mm, but very slowly. You can see I was drawing the arc, standing off on the arc, pulling it through and pushing it backwards and forwards to get it to cut through. So 2mm is probably its limit for sensible cutting. You can cut thicker, but very, very slowly. Something you need to bear in mind in copper. The reason why it's not that good at cutting copper, you can see by my smoking gloves, copper is very good at conducting heat away. The problem that is, this is obviously working with heat, so it conducts all the heat away from the cut. Right, so next thing we're going to try is aluminium at 2.44mm thick. Let's give that a crack. That's a bit of heat sink, so I'm just going to cut this out here and here. Let's put that compressor back on, see if it cuts that, and then we'll try some thickish steel. Right, but it wants its way through aluminium, particularly at the high setting. Look at that. Right, so now, the main reason why you probably would want to buy a plasma cutter is to cut those stupidly thick bits of metal that are an arse to cut, even with things like angle grinders. So we have two candidates for that. Here is a bit of 6mm steel. Just going to chop the end off that. Turn that all the way up to max, that will do. The flow's on max. So let's just lock that bit off. Then after that we have a bit of 3/8, just over 10mm steel, which will test really how well it works. So something I'm going to do is just find a nice little bit of an edge I can run the cutter along. Wood will catch light, but never mind. Oh, that's too thick. Right, okay. Let's see if I can find out. No, right, let's just cut. Put the earth clamp on first. So, let's have a look at that. That was quite hard work. I'm not sure what grade of steel that is, but it didn't like cut that much. You can see the blow over, and that is incredibly hot. Just to show you what it... So that's landed on concrete, so we're safe. Over there, just to show you, that's what that end looks like. Okay, and you can see where I was trying to start following a cut, you can see how that's gouging into it, but it's not actually penetrated it. I suppose you could try harder and get it to do that, and you can see the effect of the heat on the other side where it's blued it. Right, so that's damn hot, so we're going to chuck that outside. And the last thing, we're going to just try and lop off a bit of, is this incredibly thick 10mm bit of steel. Albeit, given what's just happened with the 6mm, I don't fancy the chances of getting cut through that, but we'll have a go. Let's just turn it over the other way. Actually, before I do that, I'll just quickly grab something to scrape some paint off. What have I got? Right, so got a little bit of paint off there. Let's see if we can, what damage we can do to this big, thick, hefty lump of very difficult to cut steel here. I know it's difficult to cut because I cut this piece from this piece, or rather this piece from... And I did that in angle run, it took an age. Right, let's just fire up the compressor again. Crikey. It cuts through 10mm, 3/8 thick steel. This is the sort of stuff they, this is building steel, the sort of stuff that you find, unfortunately you can see where the heat got to my welding gauntlet. I'm going to need another one of those. And it's, this stuff gets very, very hot. Going to keep my just feel how hot it is down there. This is the reason why you can cut thick steel. It's cold at that end. If this was copper, it'd be almost as hot at this end as it is at this end. But that is cold to the touch. This end, on the other hand, is burning hot. This end. Right, so we've got lots of lumps of steel blown off that now. Just look at that. That's still remarkably hot. And that's the bit that remains is okay. A little bit of grinding to touch that up would be fine. Right, one last thing I think I might do, if I can find the lump of metal concerned. Let's see what it does on just a little bit of angle iron. That's a bit of rusty angle iron. Let's have a crack at that. That is quite thick, probably about 3mm. Actually no, it's more than 3mm, it's more like 5 or 6. Let's give that a quick crack. And there you have it. When you finish using this, the recommendation is to just leave the power switch on to just let it blow cool air through, and it will also carry on blowing compressed air through there to cool that down. So that's it, the Parkside PPS 30A1 plasma cutter. It works. Obviously with plasma cutters, particularly on the thicker stuff, you do get a lot of molten metal hanging around on the side, which you have to take off. But it's good, it'll cut through thick stuff. That did cut through that quicker than an angle grinder is. The only thing is that leaning over that lump of metal here while I was cutting that, and in fact when I was cutting that, that is brutally hot. You can feel the heat. I've got this on, it's 10 degrees in here, and you can just feel the heat radiating from that. So you do need to bear in mind, stuff will get very, very, very hot. I'm going to look up the consumables for this just to make sure that they are, that I can get a ready supply of these, because these and the bit inside do need replacing regularly. Anyway, so that's going to come in handy. I'll probably get myself a better compressor. That's the one I borrowed from someone else, and obviously I can't borrow it every time I want to use this. Parkside currently Lidl only do the smaller of their two compressors at the moment, but they do have a compressor in stock which will drive this. I will get a bigger, fatter compressor. Anyway, thank you for watching. Please do like, share and subscribe. I'm trying to get up to 1,000 subscribers, and that all really helps. Thank you very much.